All right. Welcome to KitaCast, episode 11.
I'm glad you're keeping track of these.
Yeah, that's really...
What if he wasn't, and he was just throwing out random numbers?
Oh, I should start doing that, just start rolling out random numbers.
Welcome to episode 138.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, we've been doing this for
we've
a
come
while.
a long way.
Yeah. Like, it's up to you, the listeners, to figure out the actual order. Good lord.
It's actually only 4.
Yeah, I know, right? It's actually only 4. So right here is Nedu, also Albel. To my right is...
I'm Garry. Gartang. Gartang.
Gartang.
Gartang. It's like Jar Jar Binks, but better.
Oh.
Much better.
Not much of a stretch there. And to my left...
It's Dan, aka Dandroid.
Dan Android?
Dan Android. Yep.
Dan Android. Alright, guys. We did it. We're alive and we're recording. It's great.
Yes, I'm still alive after our fiasco with the Halloween episodes today.
Yeah. Well,
Those are fun.
I had plenty of time to de-stress after.
Yeah, that's good. I feel kind of bad because it was a lot of fun. I
didn't feel bad at all.
Of course
because you're a
did.
fucking monster.
You're maniacal.
No, it's just because, like, the thing is that I really like, I used to really like horror movies and horror games, but they stopped scaring me. So I really get enjoyment when I'm with somebody who's actually getting scared by them. So I feel a little guilty about that. Because it's like I'm living vicariously through you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Like,
I get it.
Yeah.
I
So-
feel your scares in my brain tissue.
You probably felt them in the couch, too.
Yeah, I could just kept
Yeah,
jumping.
the couch was rumbling for a bit.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was good. So, Dan, thank you for that. By the
You're
way.
most welcome.
Yeah.
All right. So today the topic is going to be Game of the Year watch. That's kind of a broad topic, but really the idea is that, just looking at the games that have come out this year, the ones that are still going to come out this year, and basically also just what we've been playing this year and what we really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's kind of getting to that time when everyone starts trying to throw together those lists of the top 10, top 20, top whatever they will, of different genres and different systems and stuff like that, because, it takes time to put all that shit together, and because they want them ready for, when New Year's comes around, so...
Ours won't be numbered or it'll end up in a fist fight.
That we'll spend the next, 8 hours, talking about which is Game of the Year, and that's just, that'll never happen.
Exactly.
Yo, I think we have consensus on Game of the Year.
Oh, do we?
Do we?
Oh, do we really, Gary?
Did we?
Do we?
Well, I know there's one that you and I both... Well, because I know all three of us would probably...
Gary
like
sounds
All three of us would probably.
Yeah.
Gary
Yeah.
sounds pretty sure of
This guy
himself.
hasn't played it, though.
Yeah,
so-
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, he might have played a bit of it.
Well, we'll come to it.
Yes. So, first kind of topic would be, like, what games have you guys been playing this year? Just, like, what have you been playing, and what kind of surprised you? What disappointed you?
Gary, you want to go?
I literally haven't played that much. I played a bunch of remakes of games, so
That's fair.
I played the Atelier Rorona and Atelier Toturi remakes for PS Vita.
Uh-huh.
And then I played Steins Gate, which
Yes.
was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Played a lot of JRPGs. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
I did. I started playing the Seal No Surge, or not Seal No Surge, R No Surge, and that one is just... That's a deep cut. Not a lot of people know that one, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's different taste in game. It's it's not the same. It's not like the top 40 channel. Like get the same 10 hits again and again. And
And I was trying to hype myself up for Tales of Zestiria by like playing Tales of Exilia.
Did it have the opposite effect?
Sort of. I played the first one and then I started the second one and I'm like, nope, I'm done. But I don't know. I might go back to it and start that again. It's just those games are all so similar nowadays.
Yeah,
Like the battle system's always fun and different, but like the characters are all like
they're
the same.
really
essentially.
they're really reaching like diminishing returns as far as those character archetypes go.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So not much else.
well, it's because you keep buying them, Gary.
exactly.
Yeah.
I played some of my import games, so like Gundam Breaker.
Oh
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then played a bit of like Dengeki Bunko. It's always good. That's coming out right away.
Yeah.
Like very
In
soon.
English, yeah.
Very soon. And not much else like cell phone games.
Giving your cell phone games.
I did enjoy Bloodborne
Yes, you did play
for a day.
For a
Oh,
day.
15 hours.
For all
now,
of
literally.
a day.
Yeah. Did anything in particular that you played surprise you or disappoint you?
Not really. They it's like I said, I played games that were like remakes and things I knew what was coming essentially, because like a lot of these were sequels too, or like spiritual successors. So I essentially knew what I was getting into for the most part, and I didn't really venture out of that zone because I didn't have much time to venture out of the zone. But yeah, I can't say there have been too many disappointments or like too many exciting things that I wasn't expecting.
how about anything that you feel that you like missed? Like anything that
I missed a ton of games.
For sure. But something that like any games that we really wanted to play but you somehow missed or
all the PS4 games.
yeah.
So I really wanted to play Arkham Knight when it came out.
Yep.
Same with Bloodborne. Metal Gear was in there.
Metal Gear.
Still haven't played Rocket League.
Oh shit!
Guys.
Sorry, we'll fix that.
But yeah, I don't know. A lot of those types of games, I'm still barely clutching on to my PS3. The other day it updated when I wanted to play, so I just gave up. So, but
I swear they're trying to push people out of using the PS3.
I know it almost feels like
it literally takes like 5 minutes to load the PS in the store now, like on my PS3, and
it takes mine more.
Ridiculous.
Yours is a newer generation one. Okay. Mine's just bogged down. Yeah.
Ugh, that's annoying.
Yeah, can't say. But my Vita's been good to me. I've been playing like a few RPGs on there, random games like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess I might as well go because mine will be fairly short too. Just because, again, you're the only one that has new systems out of all of us. So just because I will be getting one hopefully sooner than later because of
I might get one this week.
Financial stuff. Gary might be picking his up. So yeah, hope that we all pick them up or we all have them, and then we can all enjoy.
I can't wait
the same games together.
And then you guys can enjoy it on the channel.
Because it's I don't have to like talk about reviews of games and everything. We can actually
do them.
Yeah, because we're all living vicariously through Nedu right now.
Yeah, he tells us about these games and we cry.
And we just get to enjoy videos of them. And actually, I have a quick question because you were talking about games that kind of let you down, and I know there's one, but I can't remember if it came out this spring or last spring.
Oh.
Hitman. Absolution, I believe.
I feel like that was last spring.
I feel like that was last.
That was last? Okay, doesn't matter. Forget I mentioned it.
What's a Hitman? It's a movie.
It's a horrible movie.
Jesus Christ, they made 2 of those.
I know. The first one wasn't too bad, but the second one, I haven't seen it, but apparently it is just...
Punch the balls.
Zachary Quinto's in it, so I must watch it.
Is that your stipulation for
I
movie?
love Zachary
Quinto's in a movie. That's it.
I watch the Star Trek movies. I don't even like those ones that much.
Your heart.
But I love Zachary Quinto. He's so good.
You know what? Just off the top of my head, one of the ones that I played this year that I absolutely enjoyed the shit out of was Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes back to that whole thing of ever since they had a Dragon Ball Z game that was actually good. So I guess PS2 era.
Yes. Start with the Budokai games.
Yeah, ever since I played those games.
I love the Super Nintendo one with the card battle.
No, that's not allowed.
I loved it.
But anyways, ever since those games, and I realized how good a Dragon Ball Z fighting game can look and can play and everything, I was like, I want to make my own character in the Dragon Ball Z universe, and I want to help Goku fight these guys and shit. I want to but I want to be my own character. Sure enough, what is it? 14 years later, they make that fucking game.
They go full bore on it.
And I lost my shit, and it was awesome. It was it was definitely out of the few newer games that I got to play this year, was absolutely one of the top ones because it was everything I wanted it to be basically. Other than it was kind of had kind of the lame kind of hub type station in between.
That place is
that could have been a little more lively, but other than that, the character creation and the fighting and
the hub was nice because random people would be walking around and you'd be like, oh, you can check out other people's characters.
I mean that's cool. Yeah, because I that's one of my favorite things is I really like to see what other people made and everything. But past that, it was literally other than seeing characters, the entire job of that hub could have been handled by a couple title screens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Even if they wanted to do a hub, I feel like they could have at least made it a little bit more smaller and easier to navigate because you're running around from area to area. It's like, oh, I have to go over to that place where I have to do the thing, and you run across there. It's like, well, this is so.
It's like, God damn it, I'm a Z fighter. I can fly.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't take me 5 minutes to go to the fucking clothing store after I finish a fight or something like that. Like,
it gives you more chances to get you pose with all the randos.
That is true. There was a lot of fun interactions that way, even if you couldn't actually really chat with them per se. It was just like emotes and everything.
My favorite emote was the Yamcha death one.
Oh God, I think that was everyone's favorite. Let's see here. Okay, so I got to play the Battlefront beta.
Oh, were you in that?
I wasn't in. It was free for all PS4 owners, so I got to go to my brother-in-law's place for the day because he's like, "You're fucking coming over, and we're playing this." So he of course he got to play it like all weekend, and then I just went over for the last day that it was open. So I got to play that, and I don't know. It's kind of a 50-50 right now, really, because I'm a huge fan of the Battlefield games. And since it's made by DICE, it is very Battlefield. Like, if you've played a Battlefield, or at least if you've enjoyed a Battlefield game, as soon as you jump into the game, you know it's a Battlefield game. Just how it plays and how it handles and everything like that. Now, when you dive in, it's like, okay, run and gun, and it says your objectives in the corner and stuff like that. The problem I found was, they try to give you an objective, but it's like wrangling cats. You have like 40-some players in this fucking level.
And they're all like commando.
And they're just running gun like I'm a badass, and they just run in and fly. They have the little jetpacks boosting everywhere, and they're just trying to kill everyone all the time. And it's like, no, guys, like we have to do this thing together. We have to attack this thing. Or else the walker just, slowly walks in like a goddamn camel and just shoots lasers and you lose. Which, it's nice because EA and DICE have already confirmed that they're going to retool that level because they said it's almost impossible for the fucking Rebels to win that one. So they know that was wrong. Like, they knew that it was unbalanced and shit, so they're going to retool it. So, good on them for acknowledging that. And then the other level was okay, but it was a little bit smaller and there weren't any vehicles in it. But again, it's a beta. They had all the things there. It's just a lot of them were grayed out, saying not available in beta. So it looks like it's a fairly meaty game. So I think it has the chance of being good. It's just from what they showed in the beta, they definitely have some balance issues. And they really need to retool the flying. The flying is horrible.
That's why I heard that. That's disappointing.
Yeah.
As long as they have all the pieces from like the original Battlefront games, like.
Well, that's the problem. Is it's not. I played the shit out of the original Battlefront games. It is not those. It is not those games.
That's disappointing.
But you know what? I don't blame them for going in this direction because we do have an era of Call of Duty players.
Yeah.
And if you stuck them in what the original Battlefront games were, they'd be like, I'm not buying this. I don't like it. It's whatever. So, it's that thing. It's like, which audience do you pan to?
Yeah,
they tried to combine them the best they could. I think Call of Duty won out on this one, though, because there's a lot less of the original Battlefront and a lot more of the modern shooter in it.
So, is it like Halo-style shields, or...
You do have a rebounding health bar.
Okay. I don't like that.
One of the things I do like is, or at least in the beta, things were fairly simplified. It wasn't like Call of Duty where it's just like, go in, pick your primary weapon, pick a secondary, pick a grenade, pick a shield, pick a this, that, and everything. Like, they did have a loadout, but it was very simplified, and you do have to kind of work through the ranks to buy the stuff and everything. And, and I mean, other than that, outside that, I mean, it is a solid, like, run and gun shooter. Like, the controls were bang on. You can jump and sprint and strafe, and, one of the crown jewels of the fucking game are the visuals. Like, you guys have seen not only screenshots but the video, because games can look good in screenshots but look like crap when they're in motion. This game is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, just watching people play it at TGS, you're like
it is
on the huge screen. You're like, wow.
Like, you're in that Hoth level and your jaw just drops. Like, they have like the glittery sheen on the snow like everywhere, and like just
everything just looks right.
The soft like footprints in the snow of like fresh snows over the hill, and like you're running across it, and like just the visceral sound of like they just have. I mean, that's something you can never sell short on a Star Wars game. Is their sound is top notch every fucking time, and it's no different in this one. Just all the beautiful blaster sounds and all the vehicle sounds and the classic music that you remember. Like it's all there, and it is. Even if you enjoy it for a short while, it is still an experience to enjoy.
Did you get a chance to play as Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker?
I did not, because I think the people that were in it really memorized like kind of where those things popped up, and they were always like on top of them. Because that was one of the things.
Were they drops or were they perks?
That's the thing, is that they changed from the original. You don't just like get in a vehicle now. You have to run around the map, and then there's like these like glowing floating tokens that'll have like a picture of a vehicle on it or something. You run up and you hit like 2 trigger buttons, and then you pick it up as an equip. And then you can like run away with it and use it whenever you want. But if you die, you lose it. So you can like run around. If there's like an X-wing pickup across it, you can go and snag it, and then like run behind a hill so nobody kills you, and then like launch it, and then you'll go to like a 2-second loading screen, and all of a sudden you'll just be in an X-wing, and then so it kind of takes that. It's a bit of a disconnect, unfortunately.
Yeah, because you're not playing the same soldier the entire time either, right?
Well, I mean, I guess
you, because it just seems like you're switching to some random dude.
No, that's the thing, is you are, because you not in the beta, but in the full game, you do get to unlock visual customizations, so you can pick helmets and torso pieces and pants and like all that stuff to customize what your guy looks like. But it is literally, it's not like there's a vehicle sitting there and you climb into it and pilot it. It's like you pick it up, you activate it, a quick little loading screen, and then you're just in the vehicle flying or driving or whatever. So it is a bit of a disconnect, but again, with what the game looks like and how it plays, it kind of makes sense why they did it that way too. So, I mean, that's why it's kind of it's a 50-50. We'll have to see when the full game launches, though. And then I guess just one of the other ones that I got to play quickly too was Mad Max. Which again was one of those ones that got kind of panned when it first came out by a lot of the reviewers and stuff. Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's awesome. The guys that do Just Cause, I mean, they do it right. They know open world destruction, and it's not without its flaws, but it's a fun game. I mean, if you enjoy the post-apocalyptic world, driving around like vehicle combat with like big explosions and just like brutal like fist fights like they have in like Arkham Knight and stuff like that. Fucking play it. It's good. And if you're a completionist, holy shit, there's a ton of stuff for you to do in that game too. So yeah, that was one I only got to play for a couple days, but even then I had tons of fun with it. Cool. Yeah, so they did a really good job with that one. Plus that one looks really good too. Like amazing draw distance, and like even for just being in kind of like a desert wasteland, it just looks really good. Like they do have separate areas that kind of have their own feels to them, and a lot of the fortresses, a lot of the car combat and stuff, it just they nailed it. They really got the look of the world right, so they did a good job. And and then just one of my nominees for Game of the Year is Rocket League. Drop Mike, walk off stage. I mean, that game is fucking amazing. I don't know, it's some kind of voodoo magic or something, but I don't like sports. I don't do the sports thing. I'll watch hockey from time to time. Never been a big fan of football or basketball. I don't follow them, but Rocket League has my heart. It is just an awesome game. It is so fun.
With cars.
Car sporting.
Yeah, so that's
not NASCAR.
That's a bit of a review of my newer games this year. So
cool.
How are you gonna do? Mr. PS4 and Wii U.
Yeah, playing all the games that are new.
Let me see. I've played so many games. Well, I have definitely dipped my toe in many games this year. But of course, I'm the guy that never finishes them. Although I'm getting close.
He just dips his toes.
He dips his toes. Actually, because I have a PS4 and because I bought like a new computer last year, I've been able to try out a lot of stuff, which, I actually consider myself pretty lucky in that sense. Also picked up a Wii U, so like, my brother actually convinced him to pick up a Wii U.
Sucker.
So yeah, that actually got me access to quite a few things. I did actually get a chance to play The Witcher 3, which
Please tell me about this game. I mean, I've heard that there's nothing but good things about it. I haven't personally read a lot about it.
Yeah, okay.
So...
Well, I'll try my best as somebody who's not super familiar with the series or the franchise, and I think I played the game so far for a total of 10 to 15 hours, and that game is massive.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But yeah, Witcher 3, like, this one's actually, I believe, the first one to be truly open world. The thing about that game, and the thing about Witcher games in general, is that it's similar to a BioWare game in the sense that you play a character who has kind of like a bit of a type of personality. However, you can kind of draw that in which direction you want, which is great. And the thing that's really cool about this, and which it does better than most other games, this is where I think
is it a bit of like that Paragon Renegade kind of thing in like Mass Effect? Or?
No, not even. Actually, this is where I believe it surpasses most games and most BioWare games in general, because the game, more so than any other game I've played that allows you choice, it's really morally gray.
Okay.
There is no Paragon or Renegade. It's just like, hey, here's a few things that you can do. Figure out what you want to do with it.
You literally just say what you want, and it's not like, it isn't blue or red to let you know, this is the good, this is the bad. Like
Exactly.
Yeah, so they'll give you like 4 choices, and you just pretty much say whatever.
And sometimes you'll, exactly. Say
say what's in your heart.
Say what's in your heart, and then you're a stinker. And then they're just like, oh, well, fuck you. And then, like, that's the thing, though. Further down the game, you will sometimes, without even much warning, see repercussions or something based on what you did before, or sometimes you won't even fucking know that changed, which is really, really awesome. A good example of that, early quests, like, and the thing too about this game is that side quests are a lot of the times really detailed.
Okay.
There's a hell of a lot of story, but
they're not just fetch quests.
There are fetch quests, but usually they at least have some story stuff behind them.
Okay.
So it at least makes it interesting. A good example, this is you're in a small town. And this dwarf is like really pissed off. You're like, dude, what's your problem, dwarf buddy? What's up? And the dwarf's like, some asshole just burned down my fucking shop.
It was you.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the main character. Let me finish the goddamn story.
He's a Witcher, not an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a Witcher, not an asshole. Exactly. Actually, great joke. Somebody's like, so you hunt witches? He's like, no, I don't. He's like, what? But you're a Witcher. It's like, that's not what we do.
He sticks his dick in him.
Well, he can. Anyway, besides the point. The thing is, he's like, hey, can you find this asshole who burned down this place for me? He's like, you're a Witcher, figure this shit out. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, he's like, okay, just find the guy, bring him to me. I've been in this town for years. I thought they liked me, and now they're treating me like this. This is bullshit. So you're like, okay. So you find the guy, and then he's just some punk or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So you chase him down, and he's just like, well, let's see, what could you do? You could either beat him the fuck up and tell him, hey, don't do that again, let him run off. You can hypnotize him with a spell and make him follow you back to show the guy, or you can just let him go because he's like, hey, that fucking dwarf, like, I don't care, like, I don't trust him, and be like, yeah, dwarfs are dumb, I'm out. Right? He can pay you off, and you leave, right? So in this case, I decided to hypnotize the guy, drag him back to the dwarf. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what, I could have killed him, I could have done this, but I want to serve justice. Yeah. And the dwarf was like, yeah, all right. So it was you. He's like, you and I grew up. He's like, I grew up. I watched you since you were a kid. We were friends. I love your family. Hey, guards, come over here. And the guards take him. He's like, hey, this guy burned down my shop. The guard's like, well, looks like it's going to be hanging. I'm like, oh, no! And the dwarf's like, maybe these Imperials are really going to clean things up. I'm like, no. So, like, it's stuff like that all over the place in that game where it's just like, there's no clear right answer. In fact, there's no really right answer. It's just shit happens and you do shit.
Now, a quick question about that one, though. Could you then interrupt said hanging?
No, at that point it's set. Like, at that point, that was the end of the quest.
The guards leave, and you couldn't interrupt the guards from leaving.
Again,
or...
Yeah,
because sometimes a prime example would be something in like in Skyrim.
Yeah,
somebody shows up. You tell them, and the guards like take this guy away, but everything's happening in real time. So technically, you can run up and like smoke the guard in the back of the head, and then the guards turn on you, and the guy runs away or thanks you for helping them or something like that.
Or it changes.
You just correct it, or you just changed a situation that was just changed prior to that. So
well, The Witcher is a lot more story driven than Skyrim. And don't get me wrong, I like Skyrim a lot, but The Witcher, I really appreciate the fact that they've got...
It seems better put together.
It is, and that's the thing. Like, the systems work a lot better together than Skyrim, where Skyrim is, like, better than the sum of its parts, because every system in Skyrim, essentially, is not actually that great, or has been done better in other games.
It's
but
just
together.
because they're all in the same place.
Exactly. While The Witcher, everything's a lot more cohesive. Everything works really well. The combat is really fun. The
that was great. Like, that was actually one of the main things that made me want to play it, because it looked like it had that combat that we've loved to come to love from Batman or like the Arkham Knight series and all that stuff, where you can fight multiple guys at the same time and block and do all the fancy things. But the one that got me was he was fighting these this like group of bandits or something like that.
El Banditos.
And so he was punching this one guy, and he shanked him, and the guy tried to attack him from behind. He turned around and hoofed him in the stomach, and then like spun around and just beheaded him like with his sword like right there. I was like, holy fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's quite good.
Yeah,
So
the combat's actually really good.
So it's
I remember
really
playing the
brutal
first
in that.
Witcher,
Like,
and it had really
that's
good
awesome.
combat.
Yeah, they just keep improving it. Like honestly, like I've played at least a little bit of Witcher 1 and 2 like years ago when they first came out. And yeah, the combat has evolved in such a great way. Like it's like every single game, like 1 was great, 2 was a huge leap, 3 is an even bigger leap, you know? Like this is the quintessential Witcher game, and it's a really, really well put together. The mini games, the Gwent stuff. I hate card games. Gwent is a lot of fun. Like, and yeah, like it's just so far. I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see, kind of what the choices I have made and where they will lead to. In fact, for all I know, maybe later on in the story, the family of the guys that got the guy that got hanged may show up or whatever. They may screw me over
I
or
guess
something, right?
I guess really anything like that could happen then.
Mm-hmm. So that one, I can understand why that one's game of the year, but let's see. Sorry, I think I talked too much. I'm going to try and go through this a little quick.
Carry on. I was the one that asked for The Witcher, so you can.
That's fair.
Carry on with the other ones.
Metal Gear Solid 5, obviously very high on my list.
Obviously,
yes,
high on a lot of people's lists.
Yes, yes, I quite love the Metal Gear Solid series, and I talked quite a bit about that one in previous episodes. But yeah, all the stuff that I'd said before is pretty much holds true. The systems within that game work so well together. You can tell it's a labor of love, and it's been put together slowly over 5 years. The game runs really well. Like it constantly runs at 60 frames per second. I've only seen it hitch a couple times. The controls, I feel like they finally found a happy medium between their ridiculously complicated controls and all the weird stuff you can do.
Yeah.
And the infiltration of areas, like there's a lot of open space between open world between the actual places where you have to infiltrate, which I can understand why that could be kind of annoying for people, and it kind of is at times. But those spaces are really good because for 2 reasons. One, they allow you a really safe downtime spot to prepare what you want to do. So you can kind of plan out your stuff before you even reach where you're going. So that's useful. Also, all the open areas, there's a lot of outposts between them, so it's a great place to experiment with low risk, right? Because usually outposts will have
like
3
a
to
couple
5 guys.
and, you can just kind of fuck around with them and test out like what you can and can't get away with.
Exactly, and I think that's a really smart design choice.
You know what? One of the things that, like, again, because I haven't played this yet, but I still look forward to playing it, even after hearing, the good and the bad and the ugly of it, is that I accept 4 obviously is the true ending of everything, because that's what it was. This is kind of a prequel, not prequel, but it's kind of in the middle of all the shit that's going on, and I know that a lot of people they weren't big fans of the end of it, and I'm okay with that if it doesn't have a good ending, because 4 is the ultimate ending, and I enjoyed the shit out of that game.
Yes.
Whereas this one, I think I'm going to have more fun with it. I'm just probably going to whip through the storyline and have more fun with it on a more general basis. As that I'm going to play it almost more like I played Grand Theft Auto 5, where it's just like, there's this giant open world, I can fuck around in, I can customize a bunch of stuff, and I can just go do this again and again as much as I want in 1,000 different ways. And I think that's where I'm going to get the most pleasure out of playing that game.
And you know what? That's likely true, and that's kind of what I'm getting out of it right now, but the problem for me is that that's not exactly... And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I want less gameplay. The problem with me is that that's not exactly particularly what I want from Metal Gear Solid game, because for me, and I'm one of those crazy assholes, and a lot of people like this too, that just love that ridiculously dumb story. Like, I love that shit. I eat that shit up. I was explaining the story to somebody, he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, everything I said was true. Yeah, essentially, he's like, are you insane? I'm like, everything I said is exactly canonical. It is stupid that I know that, and I'm embarrassed.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous, but I love that, and that's kind of what I play. The thing is that people say, oh, Metal Gear Solid is all cinematics, no gameplay. But the thing is that every game from 1 to 4 has really deep gameplay, and sometimes you just have to look for it a little bit.
You also get to enjoy it in smaller portions,
yes.
But it's very deep for what it is.
Absolutely.
And again, I don't care that the cinematics are there because they're always entertaining.
Yes,
because
exactly.
it's like when you play a first-person army shooter, everyone says, "Oh, it's a Call of Duty clone." You play an open world thing in modern day or something. You play a character and you're shooting stuff or swinging a sword or something. That's like, oh, it's like Grand Theft Auto, but it does this. it's very, very rare that somebody says, oh, well, it's like that story in Metal Gear Solid, but it does this instead. It's like, nobody ever fucking says that.
Yeah, exactly. The Metal Gear Solid and its story and its presentation is incredibly unique. And the problem I'm finding with this game is that it doesn't feel like Metal Gear Solid as far as the story stuff goes. Because there are cinematics, and they look absolutely beautiful. And the opening felt like Metal Gear Solid. Oh, sorry.
But we understand why that was.
Oh.
And that's because of the whole Konami thing that was going on while it was being created. It was, there was that stress and doubt and, all the behind-the-scenes shit that was going on that is now just, coming to light over the past few months. So it's unfortunate, but that has obviously bled into the quality of the game at that point.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I try to divorce myself from that knowledge. I mean, it's impossible to at this point, especially because when you're looking into it and reading about it all the time, right? But it's just like
because Konami was one of your favorites.
So. Oh, yeah, exactly. I loved Konami, and it's really difficult to see what it has become.
And then he broke your heart.
Yeah, exactly. Konami-san, why? Oh my god. So it's really difficult to see that, and it's really it just unfortunately aggravates me to see the result of that. And also, even if it wasn't just the story, but Snake in particular, not just the fact that it's Kiefer Snake, but also, I mean, first of all, the whole David, like, it's hard for me to get behind this character not being voiced by David Hayter. That is really difficult. And I know that's maybe a personal problem, but I think I feel like a lot of fans are probably feeling similar things, because he's been the voice of Snake for 15 years. And
am I the only one that thinks that fans would actually be dedicated enough to pay $50 for a David Hayter voice pack for that entire game?
Fuck. Jesus Christ, Dad, don't
I
say
think
that
they
to
would
us.
pay for it, yeah.
Yeah, people would. People absolutely would, because I haven't even played the game yet, and I already know that it is going to affect my love for Snake in that. Because the same thing happened with Infamous 2.
Yeah.
Konami would never release that voice pack, but I feel like fans are dedicated enough to ask David Hayter to say every single line and then do a custom mod of it.
Well, because obviously he doesn't have a lot of lines.
He doesn't have a lot of lines. He's like, good boy, whoa, like 50 times, and that's about it. Like, it's just, he doesn't even feel like Snake, though. Like, even his personality, and people can say, like, oh, it's because the PSCD from the situation. Like, no, I'm sorry. Naked Snake and Solid Snake, very distinct characters, actually. Like, you know, they look and sound the same, but they actually have very different personalities. And Naked Snake, who's the one you're playing as in this game, he's really passionate. He's really, like, emotional. He feels things really deeply. And, like, stuff happens. One of his former friends is essentially, like, he's essentially letting something bad happen to somebody he used to be really close friends with. He's just, like, kind of standing there with a blank look on his face. And it's like, oh, it looks like we're gonna... And then later on, because he talks during the tapes, this character's trying to convince him of something. He's like, oh, I guess we'll just get Ocelot in here. It's like, no, not him again. I'm like, basically, you just said you're going to torture this guy, and you sounded like you didn't give a shit at all. It drives me nuts. It's really hard for me to look past that.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of detracting from my enjoyment of the game. So that's, and then also all the whole Konami stuff with Metal Gear Online and the forward operating base, the microtransaction, base insurance.
Yep, they tried it.
Fuck you. So if somebody, because the thing is that if you want to get a lot more items in the game, some awesome looking items that you don't necessarily need, but man, do they look cool. You need to upgrade your forward operating base. It needs to be online. It needs to be vulnerable to have people sneak in to steal stuff while you're not even there. And you know what? If you want to keep that stuff, you could get insurance for it. Are you insane? Come on, Konami. I can't.
They know how to make their money.
Yeah, I know.
People don't pay for that insurance.
I know. They're not wrong. Like, I get it.
I'm gonna wait for like 3 years till no one's playing it anymore, and then I'm just gonna play it then, and then there will be no one to guard any bases left, and then
except for like those really boss people who just keep playing the game forever.
They just have like a golden castle in the sky at that
point. That's the issue for waiting until it's like playing. It was like playing Dark Souls like 3 years later.
Yeah.
Everyone's just boss, and they'll walk in and like roll over you like nothing, and you're just like,
well, this is unfortunate.
Now I can no longer play online.
Well,
so I feel like that issue may happen with that game.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I'm just gonna talk about two more, of course, that I played. Batman Arkham Knight. Played a heck of a lot of that. Not finished it yet, but man, that game's beautiful. It is probably one of the best looking PlayStation 4 games I've ever seen.
From what I can tell from all those videos I've seen, it looks absolutely gorgeous.
It's ridiculous, and I'm not like a huge graphics guy, but
Does the frame rate stay pretty crispy on that one?
For the most part, yes. It gets a little choppy every once in a while when there's a whole lot of Batmobile stuff going on. Like when you're, it's not so much
really
the tank
ripping
stuff, but when
through
you're,
the town.
when you're ripping through the town, chasing guys, shooting fucking missiles at them, and shit's exploding, and they're pacifiers missiles, so they're not dead. They're fucking dead. But that's not the point. Then yeah, like it chugs a little bit, but for the most part, it is really seamless. It's really solid, and of course, there's loading screens when you're going to. There's loading screens, but they're seamless loading screens. Like when you're going to building, like he slowly opens the door, and all kinds of.
Or they have the long elevators, or the tunnels, or
yeah, and they're done well. Like usually, if there's like an elevator, which is usually when you're going to the Riddler designed Batmobile courses, which just what the fuck. But that's not the point. He's usually saying something to you, so it's not like you're sitting there in a quiet loading screen where Tally starts awkwardly talking to you about her past,
or like just showing you a picture of your controller and reminding you how to throw a grenade for the 20th time.
I was like, oh, thanks. I forgot how to brake on the Batmobile. But yeah, so that game has been very interesting. I really like how that game implements a lot of different characters. Like, I mean, I ran into a freaking why can't I remember his name? He's the guy that shoot. Now that's good. I'm gonna remember it later on. But he's like one of basically Batman's allies are in various parts in the city.
Yeah.
I think it's Azrael.
Azrael.
Yeah, there you go. You bump into him randomly. Like there's something going on. You beat up a few guys. Azrael's like, Batman, let me help you. Batman's like, fine, prove yourself. Beat up these guys. He's like, okay. And then all of a sudden you're playing as Azrael. I'm like, oh, neat. That's cool.
Azrael kills everybody. Batman be like, you killed people.
You killed people.
He's
Fuck
like,
you.
Yo, Azrael, don't do that.
No, man, don't do that.
No, I mean, you just got horribly named them.
He puts them to sleep, just like Batman. He punches them until they stop moving. It's fine. They're sleeping.
It's okay. They're alive. They'll just be eating through a straw the rest of the day.
Yeah, no kidding. Through Batman for Bruce Wayne funded hospitals.
I said something about that, right? That's his master plan to keep himself rich.
Absolutely, it's a very good system he's got there. But yeah, that game is great. And sometimes certain things, and you're just going along the map, certain things will just pop up. You're like, wow, I didn't realize that character was in the game. That's awesome that you showed up there. It's really fun. That game's quite cool. The combat, they've kind of perfected it at this point as well. Mm-hmm. The tank and Batmobile stuff is a little invasive. They focus on it quite a bit, and sometimes you're just like, man, I really don't want to do this. It'd be easier for me to just fly over there. But I actually, oddly enough, and I think I mentioned this before, I actually like the tank fighting. I just wish it was a totally different game. I wish it was like a whole, almost like one of those online versus games, kind of built around those kind of tank mechanics, because I think that could be really, really fun.
They'll do that. It'll be like Treasure Tracker. It'll just be Batman Tank Wars.
They'll be like Gotham City Imposters, except with tanks, and Batman and Robin and Nightwing would all have their own tanks. Oh god, you gotta stop talking about this. I want this to be a thing.
It'd be like Mario Kart, but with tanks.
Oh my god, yes.
More like Twisted Metal with tank.
Oh my god, this is great. Bat tanks. Man, tanks.
Because I've seen some of those Riddler things where you're driving the Batmobile underground and shit like that. I'm like, that looks like a fucking kart racer game.
Yeah. They could design a whole game around that, and I almost wish they did, because those mechanics would be a hell of a lot more developed.
So it's almost like Assassin's Creed 4, where the pirate ship part was so good that it could have been its own
overshadowed.
game.
Yeah. Essentially, yes. It's pretty much like that. The problem I'm finding is that being Batman is so much fun that the car and tank stuff is just not nearly as fun.
It takes away from your awesome Batman time.
Yeah, exactly. And
Why can't I just be Batman the entire time?
Yeah, exactly. It's underdeveloped, because I feel like the battleship stuff in Assassin's Creed 4 was developed really, really well, really deeply, so there was a lot of intent to do it. Well, this one is just, it doesn't feel like it was developed nearly as much.
And the Batmobile is cool, but if you had the Batwing and it's just
yeah, the Batwing flies around and drops off stuff for you. Here's a new thing. I'm like, why am I?
Why can't you just be on that thing?
Yeah, I'm just like, why am I not using the Batwing, guys? What is this? So yeah, last game, of course, played Bloodborne. What else is there to say about that game? It's fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite games this year for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a wrench in it right here. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Is it your favorite Souls game?
Oh, that's really hard. It's the one that I've definitely played the most.
Really?
I played probably Demon Souls would be my second, the second one I played the most.
Yeah.
And Demon Souls exploded my brain.
Yeah.
As far as what this kind of game can be. I didn't play. I think Dark Souls 2 is second in line as far as the ones that I played the most, and that was probably my least favorite one of them. While Dark Souls I played not nearly as much as the other ones. So I think, God, I think it might actually be my favorite one so far.
Yeah.
And like, first of all, I'm a huge Castlevania fan. This game reminds me a lot of Castlevania. What Castlevania?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has that that kind of
Victorian horror feel.
Yeah, the Victorian Gothic kind of thing, and they have like a whip weapon, and everyone has like that kind of garb on and everything, and it definitely has the Castlevania vibe too.
Yeah,
so.
if they had like partnered with Konami and been like, hey, this is Castlevania now. No one would argue.
Yeah, no one would argue.
Castlevania Souls.
Yeah, Castlevania Souls. Exactly. Yeah, we got this. Don't worry. They'd be like, okay. Like I said before, I often listen to Castlevania music while playing that game. I sometimes try to match the music to the area, but that I go through too many songs, it takes me too long, so usually I just have to do.
Just end up
You
listening
need
to music
the
instead of playing
YouTube
the
video
game.
of it running for 10 hours. And...
Yeah, I've done that, but I usually just do greatest hits at this point because I'm like, there are too many songs that could fit for this area. But that game, also one thing I really, really enjoy about it that I don't think I talked about as much, so maybe I'll focus on this a little bit, is the storyline behind everything.
Yeah, you haven't talked about the story at all, so...
Yeah,
don't wreck it for me.
Oh, no, I'm not going to wreck it. Don't worry, I'm not going to wreck it.
No spoilers, don't worry.
But I think, like, please stop me if you feel like I'm wrecking things, because I think this aspect of the game is well known at this point. But there's a whole focus on insanity and insight, which is really, really cool. The best part about it, too, is because the game starts off, and you're like, this is some Van Helsing shit here. I've got some crazy trick weapons. I'm killing werewolves. This is great. And then all of a sudden, things start getting a little strange when you get to the cathedral ward. You're just walking along, like, I'm walking through a graveyard. This is awesome. All of a sudden, this blue light comes out of nowhere and just starts falling towards me. And you see weird cosmic light flowing around. The blue light looks like it's in a portal into space. I'm like, what the hell is this? I had no idea what the hell was going on.
You're going insane.
And, well, exactly. As you get more insight, you start to see things. Certain things show up. You're like, well, that's weird. That doesn't look like werewolves and vampires at all. And there's this weird cosmic horror element to it. And there's a lot of overt references to H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Absolute. Like, it's just like full sail, this is some Lovecraft shit right here. So it's really cool because the game kind of transitions from one type of thing and it goes to another type of thing. And you're like, well, that's creepy. And all through it, there's actually quite a complex but consistent storyline about this, about using blood to access new powers, but it becomes more of a case of trying to transcend humanity and become knowledgeable and become like almost a celestial being, and seeing the result of that, because oftentimes, like, when you find out what some of these bosses are and who they actually used to be or how they became what they did, you're like, really? And then you're like, really? That's what you achieved, and what good did it do you? And it's awesome because it's like the people running this place are just really obsessed with power, and they just basically forsook everybody in that fucking town.
Yeah, because I got to watch parts of the playthrough of that, and it is really cool because unlike I guess actually a lot of the Souls games have always had at least a backstory for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But in this one, they definitely show more of it. Like, you get to learn more of it, and it's that whole thing of like, you don't just walk into a room and it's like, oh, I'm fighting this big nasty monster. It's the boss because he's shooting lasers and stomping me and shit like that. It's like, he's not just a big ugly monster. Like, he has a full backstory. There's a reason why he looks like he does, how he fights, how he does, and why he's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really cool how they did that, because a lot of games don't do that. They're just like, this is a boss because it's the end of the level.
Or they really do a good job of like NPC tragedy.
Yes.
Like, you really feel for
They
NPCs
really
in
write
this
it
game.
into it. It isn't just like, oh, well, this guy's dying because of whatever.
Especially in Demon's Souls with Estrella.
Yeah.
That one was like one of the best ones. Where it was
Especially
just like,
when you
it's
get
just
those,
like, fucking leave me alone, and you just go and fucking slaughter her.
when you get those
can't do
ones
anything
that
other than that.
it seems like, oh, well, that was a sad bit of tragedy. I'll never see him again, and then it follows you through the whole story,
Yes.
and you get to see it actually unravel in front of your face at different parts throughout the story, and like, those are the best ones, because it's like, I remember, like, because when you see him for his final time, it's like, I remember talking to you for the first time, and now you're like, either this crazy awesome guy, or you're dead, or something.
Or you turned about to be like,
so where?
Yeah. Well, in this game, there's
sunbugged.
In this game, there's a couple characters, one in particular that I think of. They're like, yeah, you're a solid bro. I like you. Let's talk. Let's exchange information. And as it goes on, whatever. It's not that he does anything particularly bad to you. It's just you're talking to him in a certain way, but then he starts spitting vitriol about this other place. You're like, that's weird. I don't really feel strongly about it, but okay, maybe they're bad. You go to them, you're like, well, you guys are weird. I totally understand why you were contained here, but I'm not going to do anything. And you talk to this guy again, and he's done he just goes completely apeshit on that other, that school of thought that those guys are following.
Yeah.
And he just does something fucking horrible, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, why are you insane? And you're just like, what happened? There's so much cool stuff like that. Well, and
he was always insane.
That's the thing. He was always nuts, and you didn't realize it. And he will only act out on his twisted fantasies if you tell him about something.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't, he won't. He'll just disappear later on. But if you tell him, he'll come and do this, and he'll laugh to you about it, and you're just like, holy fuck.
And that was the best thing about those games. It wasn't decision tree. It was it's based on what you're doing in the actual game that changes everything.
Consequences.
Every action you do has a consequence.
Really. For sure. I missed a whole boss actually, which is really kind of made me sad, but I realized why I missed it now. I'm like, oh, new game plus, I'll go get him. That's all.
Yeah, okay.
So so those were the big ones for me. Those were just such an amazing year for games, guys.
Yeah, I know, because it's obviously
if you had a PS4,
if you had, or a really good
or
rig,
a Wii U,
or
a
really good rig too, because a few of these are on Steam, and you can go play them and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. So.
And to be fair, I didn't play very many smaller or indie games this year, right? The ones that came out this year that were probably really good too. So my knowledge is those big AAA games, and I try to notice some of the smaller ones, but I unfortunately tend to spend a lot of time with these ones. So, so I wanted to ask you guys too, just kind of interestingly, because we always see the Game of the Year articles and stuff like that. How do you guys feel about about video game websites and their top lists of articles and stuff like that? Not necessarily even Game of the Year, but top PS2 games or this or that. Do you guys find those helpful? Do you feel that they often miss things?
I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that they're helpful. I think they're kind of a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fodder for the websites to write about. It's a yearly thing that they can guarantee views and hits and stuff like that. I have nothing against them.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little contrived. They're always there. And again, it's like listening to a top 40 station.
Yeah,
You get in there and it's like, oh, it's our top 5 of the year or top 10 of the year or whatever, and you look at them and you could probably guess about 90% of the games and which order they go in.
Yeah.
Just because of the genre or how just popular the game was in general. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
They can go ahead and write that shit about it, but they're just kind of there. I mean, I don't mind them being there because there have been times where they'll mention a game that either I completely forgot about because I was busy playing another game, or sometimes you do get some good top 10 lists of top 10 games you may not have played this year, or top 10 games in some genre that you wouldn't normally play, and then they mention it. It's like, oh, well, that actually looks kind of cool. So, that's why I enjoy them, is I like to discover some of that stuff. The problem is when you go to some of the bigger places, that top 10 list is going to be just full of all the AAA big titles that have either paid to be on there, or they've spent tens of millions of dollars in advertising and they were one of the biggest games of the year. So it's a given that they're going to be, top of the heap at that point. So, I have nothing against them. They're just kind of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Garry?
I kind of like that they're around. Like you said, it's good for discovery, especially lately in the newer generations where they have best indies and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because
they cover more different sets of games.
Yeah, because back in the day they would only have
they'd only say
topics
best
or
games,
something
really.
like that, or be best first person shooter, best action, best puzzle or something like that. There'd be a few things, but now there's so many subgenres and stuff like that they actually start going into those.
And even then, it really opened up when The Walking Dead won that one year.
Yes.
And they've really started to look at all sorts of different games as possible best game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't just look at the AAA ones nowadays.
Yeah, because nobody saw that one coming.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
nobody
a huge
saw it
surprise.
coming.
Because everyone loved that game, but they were like, Game of the Year? It's a storybook. There's
Yeah.
That's not gonna Game of the Year.
It's a storybook that'll ruin your heart.
But yeah, it like they've really started to look at a lot of different types of games for Game of the Year nowadays instead of just the AAAs, and that's why I kind of like to see those lists nowadays, just because you can see and discover all the different types of games that you may or may not have missed.
Yeah,
This
this year,
Journey was one of the top ones in the last few years.
Oh yeah.
Like even that game, like a lot of people see that game and they're like, "What the hell is this?" But
yeah, like
it'd be a really
this
cool
year
play.
it'll be a bit different just because I haven't had a PS4 yet, and there have been a lot of games that have gone past. I guarantee there are ones that I forgot about that I'm like, oh my god, how did I forget that? I had to fucking play that game.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I kind of like them too. Like, it's funny. I guess for some of them, I can just take them or leave them, especially for some larger websites. Granted, one larger website in particular I love, so I'll read it anyway. But I find that I look for specific top lists. Specifically, like, before I bought my PS4, I was looking at top lists for PS4 games, right? And I use that oftentimes as when I'm starting to either enter a new genre or get a new console or a new handheld. That's where I look. Same with Vita. Before I got my Vita, I was looking at top Vita lists.
yeah, see, that's when they come into play really nicely, because that's just like, here's the top 10 games that you probably want to get when you get this brand new system that you don't know anything about. So
Absolutely. Because when for the 3DS before I got one, I was looking at lists like that. However, now that I have one, I don't really have much need for those lists because I either have the games or I know exactly which games I want, which ones I'm not interested in. I mean, I'll sometimes look at them just to see like if there's one that I missed or one I'm like, you know what, maybe I will give that one a shot. They got some good reviews, right? But for the most part, at right now, like the top PlayStation 4 game lists will have they're not useful to me because everything I have for the PlayStation 4 is what I want.
Essentially played them all.
I've either played them all or I know exactly what I'm interested in. So
and like someone like me that I don't own a 3DS, and at the current moment I don't know if I really want to, other than like a couple games.
Yeah,
I would probably never look at a top 10 list because it's like I don't own the system. I don't know if I ever want to own one, so it's like whatever. But there are always those few games that you want to play.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. Sometimes looking at those lists will make you want it.
Yeah.
There is that.
You'll be
too.
like, "Damn, there are a lot of good
It's like,
3DS games."
I
that
didn't
totally
realize
didn't.
that there were 6 games that I wanted for this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Starting from Bravely Default and stuff. Like, there are a lot of 3DS games I want that I sort of put in the back of my mind when I saw them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, if I get a 3DS, I'll play them.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
you just never end up thinking about them, and then a top 10 list comes out, and you're like, fuck, I need all these games.
It's like, all 10 of them? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there are a couple DS games that I picked up because of lists like that. I was like, I didn't even know this game was actually good. So, yeah, I find them fun. I generally find them fun. Like, again, a lot of I will specifically track down ones that I'm interested in based on what the genre they're talking about or what console they're talking about, what handheld, right? So that's kind of my thing. If it's a general top 10 list for top 10 games of this year or I probably just will ignore it for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, again, major website, they're making a pretty huge list that I'm probably going to look at because it's top 100. I'm like, well, this is going to waste my life. but other than that, honestly, like for the most part, I just ignore them unless they're specifically what I'm looking for. So.
And a lot of times, as long as you're keeping up with like game news and stuff, you sort of know when
they're not a surprise at that point either.
Exactly.
It's not like, hey, this game's surprisingly near the top. It's like, no, this game was really well received. So I can see it being up there.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I guess just going back to the last one though, there's one thing I forgot to say about games I totally missed. I won't talk about a whole lot, but I completely missed and wanted to play and still want to play Splatoon. That game looks so fun. The music in that game's amazing. It looks like Jet Set Radio had a love child with some weird third person shooter, and then all of a sudden they became squids, and then it was just awesome.
It's not even just that. It's just like it keeps changing. Like that game is evolving every single DLC that comes out, and every single update that comes out.
But that's
evolving a lot.
They're not DLC; they're updates.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about
it's games as a
because
service.
they have
have
handed it to the people to enjoy it for what it was, and just when people were just like, okay, ready for more, they're like, here's more,
Here's
add
an
more
update,
weapons, add
have
more
a
maps,
roller,
add a new
Yes.
game type and stuff like that, and that's really cool. I think that's the way that those games should be run. They shouldn't be fucking rationed out and nickel and diming people.
Yeah, well, this is the true, like, this is like the idea in a utopian world. This game, and probably The Witcher as well, are great examples of games as a service, where they just give you really cool updates, like, hey, this game kind of lacks some stuff, or there's some things that we'd like to change. Here's a great update that changes all that for you.
And it keeps people buying new copies of the game.
Yes, absolutely.
It keeps people being like, oh, if I get on that now, I can enjoy it at this point. Like, I can have all these things. So
yeah, because I still want to play that. Because when it first got announced, and I was looking, I'm like, this looks really fucking weird. I don't even know what this is. And I saw more and more gameplay of it, and then people started to get kind of hyped for it, and it kind of, I guess, it kind of caught me, and I was just like, oh. Okay, actually, this looks kind of cool. This could be like the Mario Kart of the shooter world kind of thing.
Pretty
like
much, it is.
It's just this fun, goofy, colorful like game that's very fast and frenetic, but like akin to Mario Kart. But it just does that for the shooter genre instead.
The characters really grow on you too, though.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
People who
I like
it,
the fact that
like,
you can
wow, I
customize
really
them too.
like these characters. Like they really grow on you.
Like any game that gives you, if you're playing it online or whatever, any game that gives you that ability, but you can customize your own character, you can be your own person online.
Yes.
When you're acting in that, like whether you're racing or you're doing whatever, that's the way to do it. To sell me on it anyway.
Yes.
I love to be able to customize my own character.
Absolutely. And yeah, like, you unlock a bunch of gear, you unlock new outfits. I know some of them are blocked behind amiibo, so that's another thing. But for the most part, most of the stuff that you can get is in-game stuff. Like, there's a lot of games like to have aesthetic stuff as microtransactions, which is better than having like actual gameplay affecting content.
That's
I mean,
true,
there's still that whole hierarchy thing about content that you can buy, and because it's like, I have money and means, so I bought this golden armor while you look like a pauper on the street. I get, like, that's totally a thing.
You know what? Actually, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah,
I'm honestly not a fan of that, but I love it when the pre-order special or the money that the person spent goes to buying like a golden top hat or a golden gun, because I don't fucking care.
Yeah, you look like an asshole.
It
just
looks
look like an asshole.
No, but that's the thing, is I love aesthetic,
Yeah.
but I don't love gold items. They look gaudy as hell.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't care when they have gold items.
Yeah.
But if they like brought it out, no, the prequel thing is, oh, you can get this, like, SWAT gear and a gas mask. But, like, oh, I gotta get it.
Oh, jeez.
Like, I want stuff that looks cool, not gaudy. Like, that's...
To some people, the gold is cool.
I know, and that's...
It's a status
teach their own.
But that's why I appreciate the fact that it's more stuff that you unlock rather than stuff that you buy.
Because fuck pay to win.
Yeah, that's right. And that really, like, Mario Maker is the same basic thing, too. And it's almost as if, like, they've given people all the tools to make these levels, and they've outlined how everything works, but people always find creative different ways to use things.
Yes.
And
well,
that is really the most fascinating part about Mario Maker, where like you can always see someone's idea of how to use like a POW block or how to use these things to make these levels harder or cooler. And like it is fascinating.
Well, I mean, part of that comes through in creativity, but the other part comes through is that like, it's not so much as like, oh, I bet Nintendo never thought to use it that way. No, it's like they did, but they didn't. They didn't want to because they would confuse the player and they would just get angry and quit.
Yeah. Or even in some cases, if they thought of it, they didn't have enough backing to make it into a full game.
There's that too,
or like to make it into a full-fledged.
Because it'd be awkward to have it in one place in one level.
But in Mario Maker, you can do that because you're just making one level.
Because it's the same. It's the same fun factor as Little Big Planet.
Yeah, exactly.
You're making your own game at that point.
Yeah.
And so
and
you
people
can
are
see
making
that
your game for you, and that's always content coming your way, and that is, I love that. Like that's nice.
Absolutely. Endless possibilities, like that theme song from Sonic Unleashed.
Shut up.
Yeah, just stop there.
Like, it wasn't that bad. I'm kidding.
You take that shit outside.
Okay. So here's an interesting question. What's some popular series that you often see on these lists that you totally miss? Like, why do you not play these series? And are you willing to give them a try?
Oh, I think I'm willing to give pretty much any game a try, as we saw today.
Yes.
Even if it was a forced hand.
You enjoyed it.
You know what? I am. I think it's just morbid curiosity for Layers of Fear.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to see more. When we got stuck, I was like, I kind of want to see where this is going.
Maybe we could stream it sometime.
Oh my god, yes!
Yes, he's agreed. You don't have to be playing it. We can play it.
You can fucking play it. Or Nedu like scary games.
Yeah, I can play it. Yeah.
I'll just sit there in the corner with a pillow and hide.
But I would be okay with that.
So I don't know, as far as genres go, I mean, like you're talking, like, if I saw a top 10 list of puzzle games or something like that.
Yeah.
Are you saying, like, would I go in and try all 10 of those puzzle
games?
Or...
I'm more thinking about, like, popular series, because oftentimes you'll see series, like, because you'll always see a Final Fantasy game on these lists, or a Resident or a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a popular series like that you haven't really played, like, I'm just curious, like, if you know, what that series would be, and if you'd be willing to give it a shot, and why you haven't played it up to this point.
That's actually a really interesting question. Do you have something for this?
I have one for sure.
Okay, go ahead. I'll think of mine.
Assassin's Creed.
Oh, okay,
like,
awesome.
I played the first one. I couldn't really get into it.
I hate that game.
Yeah, I know, right?
I like those games.
and that's just sort of left it at that point for me. And like, I know I should be trying some of these new ones because I know they've.
Did you only play the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know they've changed a lot, and I know they've perfected things.
If you get through 2 and Brotherhood and still don't like it, then don't play them. But if you get through those, I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it a lot better.
You know, I played most of 2, and I actually really enjoyed it. I still don't like that series. It's weird.
Okay.
Like it's just not for me. Like I appreciate the improvements.
There's something about it.
2 is a fantastic game. Like I can recognize it's a great game. So I know this is just about me at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, please
it's not like, I love the story. Like, reading or looking at the story, I'm like, wow, I should play Assassin's Creed games. But then like I start playing it, I'm just like, I can't get into this. Like I really don't feel like like it's almost a chore to play, but it. Like, I don't know. It's just something about that series that I just can't get into. But, like, I know if I played with some of the newer ones, I probably would like it. But it's just, I haven't got around to it.
I hear you.
So. One on our list here, because we've already done, like, a bunch of these games kind of beforehand, just as a reminder. Actually, one of the ones, I guess because I haven't played one in so long, it was almost refreshing to see another kind of take on it, was Cities Skylines.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, because I used to play the shit out of SimCity. I had SimCity on my Super Nintendo. I had, like, oh, man, I don't know, there was no clock on it, but I would have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on that game.
But did you touch Sim Farm?
No, I never played Sim Farm. I played Sim Ant. I played Sim... Was there a theme park one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a theme park one. Sim World I tried, but it was really shitty. I didn't like that one.
I don't think the theme park one was a sim game, but there was a theme park one. It was Roller Coaster.
It was Roller Coaster.
Yeah, that wasn't a sim game.
Those were really fun too, though.
Yes.
But no, Cities Skyline was kind of a fresh take on it because I think that one kind of rose out of the ashes of the whole new SimCity debacle that was, what, a year ago, 2 years ago or something like that?
It was like a couple years now.
Was it a couple of years?
I think so.
I thought it was
like
ago.
A year.
Because short history of that.
I feel like it was
if you didn't know,
14,
they released SimCity. It was online locked, like it was play online all the time. They
had a tiny grid to work with.
You had horrible server issues, but they tried to represent it as, it's online because it's interactive with other people's cities and it'll affect your economy and all this stuff. None of that shit ever worked or happened.
You really didn't even have a city. You had a city block. And everyone else's city blocks added together.
And you had like one thing. Like you could build one tiny city that was supposed to be interconnected with all these other things, and none of that shit worked.
And then you had to like share things with people, right?
And then finally,
because it's like, this guy's nuclear power, I gotta share with him.
I think it was like half a year later, they, in a roundabout, backhanded way, say that they fucked up and unlocked it from the online only mode and tried to expand the size, but the game was lost already. People didn't want it; they weren't buying it anymore and stuff like that. And I think 6 months later, basically the following year, Cities Skyline kind of comes out of nowhere, and people were just like, what is this? And they started playing the early access, and they're like, this is what I wanted. This is what SimCity was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And people went nuts for it. This is one of the highest selling, I think, city sim games like of all time, basically, because it replaced SimCity, like straight up.
Essentially, SimCity built the hype, and then they just
swept in and gave them the game that they fucking wanted.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think that's really cool that they did that.
Yeah.
And I really do want to play it, especially because they just released some DLC called, I think, Nightlife.
Yeah.
Which kind of adds a whole another side to the game and everything. So yeah, that's one that that's a genre that I've rarely played, but I did really enjoy when I was younger, and I would love to get back into it now.
Yeah. For me, and this is such an obvious one, I was actually thinking of going with Uncharted, but I was just like, I don't know. Uncharted, I think I've always had a love and hate relationship with that series, because I appreciate it so much, but I also don't like playing it at all. But I think I have to go with Call of Duty, because
that's somewhere for me too.
Yeah, because I just have almost little to no interest in Call of Duty. I feel like those campaigns tend to be really short and uninteresting.
Oh, they're slapdash.
Because they're made for multiplayer.
Exactly, and the multiplayer is just, I can't do it because I die immediately, and I know that's because I'm not good, but it just gives me almost no incentive to try and play it. Like, Halo will ease you into it.
Well, I mean, you're a gamer. You could get good at those, but I mean,
You're
you're of an age. You have your job. Like you have a life and stuff that you can't spend that 4, 6, 8 hours a day playing this fucking game to be top of the heap. And when you're not top of the heap, you just don't fucking play it because it's not fun. Because you get fucking destroyed, and you have some 12-year-old yelling your ear off about how he fucked your mom and you're gay and shit like that. And it's just like, who enjoys that? Who the fuck wants to play that?
It's ridiculous. Well, exactly. Like, it's just, I don't have the time or the patience.
It's people with like I myself don't play a lot of multiplayer shooters just because like I don't really like to compete in that fashion.
Yeah.
But like some people just like that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's their game. Like, that's like the 1 or 2 games that they will buy that year will be Call of Duty, right? And so they will get good, and they love that shit, and I respect that. A couple things. First of all, I actually sometimes enjoy those stupid kids because I get really all counselory on them. I'm like, that's an interesting thought that you have. Like, I wonder how your mother would feel if she heard you saying that. Well, don't talk about my mom. It's like, oh, you seem very defensive. Do you have some like repressed issues about your mother? Fuck, it's so bad.
I gotta do that when I'm alone.
It's fun.
You troll like those people,
and you're not
never see it coming.
Yeah, you're not doing anything rude either. You're being very kind, but they can't handle it. But the thing is that I will still read a lot about every Call of Duty game that comes out just because I find it fascinating. I would like to get into it and play one of them for real, just so I can have some frame of reference, because I have never actually played a Call of Duty game for real. Like, I played a couple of like Nazi zombies or some local multiplayer with some friends. It'd be like 3 or 4 people, and that's it. I'm still getting killed. Yeah. But I want to actually try some of these games. Specifically, I think Black Ops 2 was one of the few ones where I was reading about it. Like, this actually sounds... But yeah, COD Blops. I love calling COD Blops. COD Blops top 2. Specifically because, like, okay, it sounds like they're actually doing interesting stuff with the campaign. Not the bullshit, like, cyber terrorist storyline that they have. But more so that game actually added an interesting... parting path mechanics where an example is like there's a level where you're chasing after a guy, and if you catch that guy, something will happen. But if you don't catch the guy, something completely different will happen. There's no indication of that. They don't point it out, but it just happens. And the only reason I knew about this because listening to a podcast where one person's like, yeah, I did this mission, blah, blah. And the other person's like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about? It's like, that's the way it happens. Like, dude, that totally was different for me. I didn't catch the guy, and this happened. Like, well, that's interesting. And they didn't really advertise it that much, because when they're showing the game, they did the first level. It's like, oh, you could go, and then, the bullshit, like, you go this way, and you'll support this guy. If you go the right way, if you go right, then this happens. Go left, that happens. Well, that's dumb. Yeah. They didn't even talk about this kind of options.
Well, yeah, because when they sell that AAA game to all the, the people that are buying their Mountain Dew and Doritos, and they're just like, kill your friends online, call them gay in real time. That's how they sell those fucking games.
That campaign.
Yeah.
Most people just
and that's
pick
the
up
thing
the game
is
and
a lot of those like bro dudes that like buy it, they slap it in their fucking PS4 and they grab the controller online instantly just to like hop into a fucking lobby and wait 5 minutes to join a match, and then they hop in and they just start sniping each other, and that's all they bought it for. They don't even care that there's a single player there.
And that's why it's sort of shifting away from that nowadays,
which is unfortunate because it hurts the other gamers like us that's all we want.
I think that's what happened with Call of Duty Ghosts, because people just pan the single player like a lot, because I think they forgot. I think because a lot of AAA, like larger websites actually care about the single player for that, and they just and granted, there's like 3 different studios that make Call of Duty games now. Like they kind of pass off, so they have time.
Well, they have to because they come up with like 10 a year.
Yeah, exactly. and oh, sorry, Gary.
No, go ahead.
Well, all I was gonna say is basically that for Ghosts, it's just like people won't care that our storyline is bullshit, and then everybody cared. They're like, oh fuck. So they're trying to fix that with COD Blops 3.
So I thought of one actually just now that all 3 of us would probably say, but like MOBAs.
Oh fuck!
Like all of us haven't really gotten into them.
Yeah.
But, like you sort of feel like you should just because it's such a big thing in the gaming community now.
It is kind of one of those things that it's like I wish I knew what people were talking about when they were talking about it, because I have like kind of a newer group of friends that they all play LOL and Dota and
Heroes of the Storm.
Heroes of the Storm, and all that shit, and I'm just like. I hear them talk about it, and they're so fanatical.
They're so like passionate about it.
They're just right in it, and I was just like, man, I wish I could love those games that much. But it's just one of those things.
It's just not the type of game I feel like I would like a lot.
No, there's a lot of again, it's one of those competition based ones. Like I played the beta of Gigantic, which is a MOBA.
Oh, that's right,
yeah, and that has awesome character designs. I love the art and I love the characters, and it's a lot of fun. But man, it's just I don't know what I'm doing.
And that's
like,
the thing is it's pure competitive.
That's
one of the kind of turnoffs for that. Is that like if Dota had because I mean
had like a StarCraft campaign.
It was originally like a mod of Warcraft.
Warcraft,
of like Warcraft 3. So it was originally a mod of that. So if they had like maybe a single player campaign that had a storyline and maybe soft introduced you on how to play all the different characters and stuff, I would probably care about the game way more than I do right now.
But even if you had a soft introduction, like the way online people play is they completely alter the way that these characters play.
No, but I mean like to be able to hop in, because that game is an assault to the senses when you log in, because it's like get in, and then there's timers everywhere, and then it's just like, oh, well, there's like 50 characters to pick,
shit's happening, people are doing their thing,
and then as soon as you jump in, it's like,
why are you not doing your thing? It's
spend your money at the market and buy these items. If you buy the wrong items, then you're fucked for the rest of the game, and you fucked your team, and it's just like, if they gave you any kind of an introduction to that game, where it says, oh, well, this is this guy's story in this campaign. You play through the forest and you do this, and you learn like the 5 moves that he has, and like all this kind of stuff. Like if they at least did that, you'd have a concept of what was going on.
I feel like they almost took that from like MMORPGs, where like you get like a brief tutorial, but they never tell you everything. Like,
well, no,
never. They'll never be like press enter or press space to start talking. It's like. You don't know how to use the chat. You go in and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I think WildStar eases you in a little bit better than most.
But like a lot of them,
because a lot of those like WoW, they'll stick you on an island that you can't leave until you've beaten all these missions that teach you the basics of the game. That's how you teach a game. Like that's the best way to do it. Because you can't leave until you've proven that you know the basics.
Yeah.
So
MOBAs are just like get out there.
MOBA's just like
MOBA's like screw you.
Hey, pick one of these 1,000 characters that
study
can do
100 hours
a trillion different moves. And then and then get yelled at people for the next hour on how you suck and you made the team lose.
From what I understand, Heroes of the Storm eases people in.
Apparently,
it
is. It's a little softer, but
it's classic Blizzard where they take a genre that's really well traveled and then they break it down and make it a lot more palatable. That's what Blizzard does.
But the problem I've heard with that one is that it's not quite pay to win. But okay, you know how Dota and LoL work? Like you log in. And the only thing you pay for that
pay for hero skins.
You pay for hero skins, which is fine because there's no pay to win. You just choose what your guy looks like basically, and the characters look pretty cool.
They look awesome in both those games.
So both of those games. The problem that a lot of people have said that's with Heroes of the Storm is that it has a rotating hero roster. So what happens is until you level up to a higher level, each week you get to play with 3 random heroes, and that's it. So if you don't know how to use those guys or you don't like using them, you're fucked until the next week. Or if you're leveled up, then you get like a stable of like 5 or 7 or something like that. When there's like what 40 characters in the game or something like that. But you can like pay to unlock them all and all this shit. So it's like that's getting into that territory of kind of pay to win. So
God damn it, Blizzard! I love them, but they hurt me. No, that's interesting. That's a good one, Gary. MOBAs. Yeah, that is my white whale.
That's a big one for all of us. So. I just saw that when you were talking about Call of Duty, and I'm like, man, MOBAs are huge too, aren't they?
People like them MOBAs.
We never touched them.
Hey, MOBAs are esports right now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
basically
they are.
Oh man,
through and through.
Yep. So yeah, and I guess finally, just to kind of shake things off, like, what is your favorite game this year and why? It can be AAA, indie, anything between. Like, what? Just a game that you play this year that you love. You're like, this game is awesome. So far, this is my favorite.
Rocket League.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, with it being a bit of a drought, personally, because I don't have a PS4 and my PC's kind of underpowered, I haven't gotten to play a lot of the newer stuff like Bloodborne. I have seen a lot of playthrough of it, so I know the concept, and it does look really cool, and I still want to play it. Same thing with Metal Gear Solid 5. I've seen a bunch of it. Absolutely gorgeous looking game.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight. All those kind of games. It's like, all those games, I'm sure they're going to be awesome and everything, but I can't put my stamp on them until I've personally played them.
Right.
Plus, I mean, a couple that we actually wrote down on a list that I haven't even mentioned yet. Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is going to be a huge, huge game.
Oh, yes, that's not out yet.
I am so fucking excited for this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, absolutely could be a contender for Game of the Year, but we still have to wait to play it.
Yeah.
But it will be out sooner than later, so that helps. Another big one for me is going to be Just Cause 3, because I absolutely love the Just Cause series.
Yes.
I put hundreds of hours into Just Cause 2 and still never finished it 100%. So, so that one was a lot of fun, so I can't wait to fucking play that one. But, I mean, as far as ones that I've played, it's honestly Rocket League. I mean, it is...
Nice.
I think about that game almost every day, and the only time I get to play it is when I either go out to a buddy's place or go to our local barcade and get to play it there and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just a testament to how awesome that game is. It gets you hooked, and you can't stop thinking about it. Especially for the simplicity of it. It isn't like there's no storyline in that. There's no campaign.
Yep.
I don't need that. That's one of the few games I can play online.
Yep.
And just have a blast with it.
What are you talking about? There's a storyline about Garry McCarson and how he's trying to beat the car league. Cars.
You've never played Rocket League, have you?
Does it show? No, I've actually played it. It's awesome. And I'm just being an ass. The deep story of Garry McCarson. Anyway. No.
Oh, and I am enjoying the shit out of the DLC for Shovel Knight also.
Yes, that did come out this year.
Plague Knight, oh my god, please, Yacht Club Games, give us more. I am enjoying it ever so much.
Oh, I can't wait to play that. Awesome. Yes. How about you, Garry? Please also add in things that you're looking forward to this year too, if there's anything.
Game of the year. I really haven't played a lot, so I can't say too much about it.
But what's your favorite game that you played this year, though?
Definitely Bloodborne.
Cool.
Not even
Bloodborne's-
close. That is
right at the top of the
I played it 15 hours nonstop, so that's gotta say something about it. And I was still kind of hankering for more, but I don't have PS4 and I don't have access to it. So, but really, I gotta say it's probably my favorite Souls game too.
Really? So it's right up there.
And only because it took all the best elements of Dark Souls, the first one, and mixed it with all the dark and gritty elements of Demon Souls.
You know what? I think that's why it makes me so excited for Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Because I think Dark Souls 3 is going to be like Dark Souls 1 with Bloodborne gameplay.
Yeah.
And that gets me really excited for it.
And the other thing was, because I play hyper aggressive a lot of times, especially in Dark Souls, I get destroyed because I run in there, no shield, and, try and kill everything.
Yeah, see, it's your gameplay style.
Yeah, when I play Bloodborne, it feels right. I it's just oh yeah, I can see what they're doing. I see what's happening with this, and just everything about it, the setting, graphics, it just feels right, and the whole consequences gameplay that hits me so close to home. That is probably the tip of the iceberg. It's just that pushes it over any game that I ever play. So
absolutely,
yeah. And ones I'm looking forward to really, Tales of Zestiria, just because I'm nerdy.
No, I don't blame you for that.
Those types
I don't
games.
blame you for that. If you pick up that game, I'll come over and play it.
If I don't think it's an if. I think it's when.
When you play that game, I'll come over and play multiplayer with you.
when I actually get around to playing it after buying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too much else. Anno 2205, that's I want to play a city builder with space and stuff.
So can you explain that game to me a little bit? I haven't got a chance to really catch up on it, but I saw it.
It's SimCities, but then you can develop so much that you can launch into space and have like different colonies on space. So
is it like SimCity mixed with like Civ, like Civilization?
It's almost like if you mix Spore together with SimCity, where you can like develop so much that you can like start going to different places and stuff.
Okay.
Like, it's really interesting.
Do you try?
I haven't looked at it too much, but like,
do you know if you try to like take over the planet, or do you just try to build your city big enough that
you essentially
can build
just land on
and...
like uninhabitable. I don't know. You might be able to, but
okay.
That it's sort of like that. No Man's Sky, that reminded me of.
Oh, yes.
It's probably next year, though. But
No Man's Sky is next year.
It is next year.
I'm totally delayed
that is
again.
something that could end up being really awesome.
Yeah.
And another one that's next year, the Pokemon like...
Pokemon Go.
Yeah. That's a game changer. That's
I think everyone on the entire planet is excited for that one.
Yeah,
so.
and I feel like we're going to get some wicked Pokemon up in Canada.
Absolutely.
Also winter Pokemon.
I'm still kind of interested to see how they kind of run that one. It's just like... Because, I mean, it's one thing to kind of, not region lock, but I guess region locate some stuff.
Yeah.
But they also have to make it available that you can get all the Pokemon at some point. Because it's like, I don't want to spend, $3,000 traveling halfway around the world so I can get a fucking Rattata or something like that.
I feel like they're going to do what they did in Pokemon Silver, which... I don't know. I loved it before everyone else. Not Silver. I mean, like Emerald and those types of games where they did swarms.
Yes.
So you'd have like instances where swarms would show up, and like a swarm of a certain Pokemon from a different region will just show up for a bit.
Yeah.
And you'll have a certain amount
and destroy the economy.
I hope so. And exactly.
No, I'm sorry.
Yes, I have no problem with that. It's like if it's like a timed event or a time of day or
so
like
I feel like they're gonna do
or
those
something,
types of
that's
things,
fine.
but...
Like I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's just exciting me because Ingress is a really good game. People who played it love it.
Yeah, people love Ingress.
Like it makes people wander through parks staring at their phone looking like creepers and like standing right beside people to get the perfect point. Like it makes them such creepers, but they love the game so much that they don't matter.
It really doesn't look that odd these days, though. I mean, people walking around looking down their cell
if you're like on your phone, like pointing it at people, like standing right beside them and shit, like
personal bubble, buddy.
Yeah, it's...
don't even worry about it. I'm trying to get my.
And you'll like walk back and forth in the same area, and it'll just like creep people out. They'll be like,
that's just me normally. I get lost easily.
Yeah.
What's that guy doing? I'm lost. For me, I'm with you, Gary. It's really close between Metal Gear Solid 5 and Bloodborne, but it's just the invasive stuff of Metal Gear Solid 5 with the bullshit microtransactions. That fucking screen every time I turn on the game.
You don't have to do that to like really enjoy the game or finish the game or whatever, right?
That's the problem. The problem is that to fully enjoy all the aspects, even the single player stuff, to fully enjoy all the aspects of the single player stuff, you have to participate with the front operating base stuff. You have to, because if you don't develop your front operating base or forward operating base, I should say, you will not get access to some really cool items. And again, you don't need those items to complete the game, but damn, do they look cool.
Yeah.
I want that stuff.
And if you're an RPG player, you gotta want those things.
Yeah,
you tend to be like, I need that before I can fight the final boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any kind of like a pseudo firewall against that kind of thing, though? Is like, if I just jumped in the game and I just got my operating base and everything, and I have like nothing, I've got like pennies in a piggy bank sitting in the back room. Are people going to invade my base?
They might.
Is there a rating on it? Do they like choose which base they raid? Like, how does that work?
I'm not fully sure how that works. They still, like, if you're online and you've got a base, I think there's probably a certain threshold that you may have to pass. But even if it's not very well defended and it's kind of low level, it's still accessible, and they'll just take your shit because it's there. They'll be like, oh, this is easy. It's there. And Konami be like, hey, be real bad if something happened to your nukes. Maybe want to scratch a pawns a little bit and give us some money.
I know a very good way to deter from that.
What's that?
Play the PS3 version.
One
that nobody owns.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a good point. I do not know much about the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions. I don't know what's different about those games.
I don't know what their online looks like.
Yeah, nobody talks about them.
That's
I
a very
heard
good
nothing
point.
about them.
Now,
Zero things.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even know they came out on those consoles.
I know, right?
Well, that's because they didn't advertise them at all. Though, why would they? Right? Their biggest sellers are on PC and on the current gen consoles. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've heard absolutely zero things about those games.
I'm not gonna buy that game on a fucking PlayStation 3 though.
It's fucking PlayStation 3.
No,
it's last gen.
No, it's not even it. It's just that if I have access to a version of that game, especially because I played Ground Zeroes on like the PS4, I'm not gonna buy the
You're not
PS3
gonna
version.
downgrade.
How many Metal Gear Solid do you have?
Shut the fuck up, Garry. Just shut up.
But it's not a rehash, though. It's literally the same game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he wouldn't buy it.
Well, he doesn't know that.
When
Nobody
they-
talks about it. You don't know what that
when they
game is.
re-release it next year with, like, impervious insurance and a couple extra characters or something like that, he'll buy it again.
Yeah, fuck off, Konami here. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it again. But yeah, no, that's actually very interesting, Garry. I'm gonna look into that because I have no idea. I'm not gonna buy it, but just for curiosity's sake, at least, I'm gonna look into that. So, but it's just the invasiveness of that stuff and the things that bother me about that game are too big for me to ignore. And Bloodborne, it's one of those games. That game reminds me of way back in elementary school when I'm playing a game, I have no idea what the fuck is coming next, and I'm thinking about it constantly, even when I'm not playing it.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't get a lot. That's not even happening so much for Metal Gear Solid 5. For this game, though, I think about it a lot, and it's also that old school feeling, because I'm not very good at video games. Like, that's just a fact. I play a lot of them, but I don't play that
You
often.
enjoy them, though.
I enjoy them. I love the shit out of video games, but I'm just not that good at them. That's just a fact, and I'm okay with that. When it comes to, but I'm able to make it through this type of game, not because I'm getting good, as that stupid meme goes, but because I'm trying. I'm working at it. I'm figuring out how to do things. Like, it's just that good sense of accomplishment. Like, I was banging my head against a wall when I was fighting the Blood-Starved Beast, but once I figured out how to do it, I'm like, okay, I get it now. I know what I was doing wrong, and that's fine.
That's what the Souls games do, though.
Exactly.
It's satisfying every victory you get.
It's so satisfying. Every victory.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and Bloodborne offers that, and also more so. One thing I really like about media is when it makes you interested in things outside of that media, right? And that's what Bloodborne does for me too, because I'm playing this game, and when I started noticing the Lovecraft horror in it, I was like, oh my god! So I started reading a little bit more about Lovecraft and Cthulhu and all that other weird stuff.
Universe and everything. Yeah,
it's and that game directly, wholesale takes stuff from that. So it's like, this isn't an offhand reference. This is actually that thing. And then they don't talk about it a whole lot, but they show it, or they show it there. Like, some of the enemies are right out of Lovecraft, and they're like, hey, that's really neat. And then you look it up, you're like, okay, this is where that comes from. Yeah. And you read more about it, and that game just makes you want to learn more about interesting literature.
Oh, yeah.
How much can you say that about other games, you know?
There are a few games for me.
Well,
especially like initial Final Fantasy games. Like,
yes.
When I started playing those games, especially like 6 or 6-3.
Well, yeah, they weave that stuff, especially a lot of Japanese games do that really well. Devil May Cry is the riff on the Divine Comedy. Like, very, very loose, but it's there, and it's awesome.
And it's fascinating, because you go in and you're just like, wow. Like, a lot of people don't even see, like, a lot of the biblical references in Halo.
Oh, yeah, Halo's like all
many.
Bible. Well, Halo and Mass Effect as well, actually, but it's all Bible.
Yeah.
It's
all, so much.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not hidden, but, like, it's... You really have to look for it, and the more you know about all of these different things that come into play to make that game, the more you appreciate what it came from and what this game is.
Yes, it enhances it. It enhances it just from that one thing alone.
Yeah, like Fate Stay Night was another one that was like similar, like the Fate series.
Oh, it's so good, and I love it because sometimes it's like you know about this person, you know what will happen to them. You can guess what will happen to them. Will make them lose, right? But then characters that you don't know or didn't realize who they were, you're like, holy fuck, I had no idea. Who is this guy? And then you just don't know, so it's exciting, right?
Chills.
Literature, the English major nerds coming out of me. So yeah, as far as stuff that I'm looking forward to that's not out, like, obviously Fallout 4, I'm really interested in, but I'm actually just gonna mention a game that I never expect to be interested in, which is Overwatch. I'm really excited about the game. I have been for a while now, but I mean, that is solely a competitive shooter, similar to like Team Fortress or Counter-Strike.
I'm still of that mindset. I want to play both that and Battleborn and see which one I like better, even though I know that they're not direct competitors of each other. They really feel like they're trying to be.
Absolutely, they do.
Because they're both that kind of Pixar first-person shooter MOBA mashup kind of thing.
Yes.
Because they haven't nailed it down. They have never actually. There's no genre. I think they are going to define a genre after this because of games like that.
No, for sure.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens because they're not quite. They're very akin to the old like Quake and Unreal Tournament and stuff like that. They're fast, frenetic gunplay. With a few special abilities here and there, but they're very MOBA-esque too because you pick a character and they're very dedicated to how their play style and everything, and they're gonna have very dedicated maps to, just like how the maps flow and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where those go, and even if they're successful ultimately. So
definitely absolutely. The closest thing would be like Team Fortress style.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely different too.
For sure, and I think I played Counter-Strike for all of like 2 minutes, and I played.
I used to play Counter-Strike all the time.
Oh yeah,
and Team Fortress 2.
You gotta be insane to keep up with Counter-Strike nowadays.
Oh,
it's basically
terrifying.
all or none.
Yeah, and then I played a bit of like when Orange Box came out for the 360. I played quite a bit of Team Fortress back then, and those games never really caught on. But
again, it's like constant online,
yes.
always deathmatch. Like they never really change, and you have to be of that mindset to want to play that type of game.
Which is why I'm quite a bit confused and surprised by my interest in Overwatch because I know exactly what type of game it is, but the style and the characters are just.
Well, I think it's because the characters ooze such character now. Because before it was like if you play CS:GO now, you are. Generic dude with gun.
Terrorist.
Yeah.
You're
number one.
Or generic terrorist with gun. Like that's it. Like and you just go to like one of a handful of maps. Like that's it. Whereas Overwatch really has its own world. It's almost like watching a Pixar movie.
Yes.
Like they've really built this entire world up and all these characters in it. And they have their own character. I mean, when they show them in the intro movie, they're not just running around. It's like, oh well, that guy has a lightsaber, or that chick just has like laser guns or something like that. It's like. No, they show how they play. They have their own voice. They have their own storyline. Like, they are fully written, fleshed out characters.
Yes. Like, I spend a lot of time, actually, every time they announce a new character, I go to the website and read their bio. Like, I go to their bio before I look at their abilities. Like, I read their storyline. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting storyline. That will... obviously, if there's a specific class that the character is, that will still possibly block me from playing them. But I read the bio first. I'm like, this character sounds really cool. I will force myself to learn how to play this character. Like, for example, Farah, she's the woman from Egypt who has that freaking Iron Man, like, suit or whatever, right? She,
flying has like a big cannon or something.
Yeah, that's exactly. I usually don't play characters. Like, I'm more interested in a character like Tracer, who's really fast and can get in and out quickly, because that's just the type of character I generally play. But I'm really interested in Farah as well because I love her design, I love her backstory, and she's using heavy artillery, which I generally don't really like using in these type of games. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. It looks awesome, and just having those characters and that design and that love of it, like that attention to what these characters look like and what their actual story is. And you know what? Battleborn is similar as well, but I'm more leaning towards this one, probably just because the character designs seem to appeal to me a little bit more. But yeah, Battleborn also looks cool, and I definitely want to give that a shot as well.
Yeah, one of the cool things that Battleborn has going for it over Overwatch is that it has a single-player campaign.
Exactly.
That can be played co-op, which is a very
that's
cool
always
thing
a huge
that Overwatch does not have. Overwatch is just online dedicated, the MOBA style.
Yeah.
Whereas Battleborn, it has all that fast frenetic gameplay and online shooter and stuff like that with all the characters, with all their abilities and their backstories and stuff. Yeah. But you actually have to play a campaign too, which is very, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be awesome, and the fact that you can play co-op and stuff like that makes it. That's why I'm surprised that I'm more interested in Overwatch, because that is way more appealing to me.
I think the characters are a little better fleshed out, and honestly, the game does look like visually it looks better.
Yeah.
Battleborn, I guess can seem a little lackluster, but I think they were going for that more simplistic look from the start.
For sure, because they're going to a bunch of different planets, and they're trying to make it like each area looks really, really different. Because they're supposed to be completely different planets in this one last star system. So understandably, they want to make it a little bit more simplistic, so they can add that diversity a little bit more easy. While Overwatch, while the maps are very different, it's all still Earth, right?
Yeah.
So, and they're all they're mostly humans or creatures that originate from Earth.
Robots,
while this one,
whatever.
Yeah, robots or gorillas in one case. But in Overwatch, they're completely different creatures from completely different systems. And not Overwatch, Battleborn. But both look awesome. Overwatch in particular, a game I did not expect to be excited about. So yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. All right, guys. I think that pretty much rounds it out for us. So, just kind of what kind of crazy shit have you guys been up to this week?
Well, not so much crazy shit, I guess. It's I've just been really busy, just kind of trying to write, doing the podcast stuff, and like streaming, just playing more Plague Knight, and that's about it. Because I mean, like, just been busy running around. I went to a concert last night, so I'm hoping to get more into like the swing of things this coming week. Just continuing on my adventures in Borderlands and Final Fantasy 7 again. Because I have actually been thinking about them. I've been because I was just like, I really missed playing those.
I hear you.
And then like you pick them up for 2 weeks, and then it's just like you take a week off. It's just like, oh, I gotta play them again.
What am I doing with my life? Yeah, I know.
It's so broken sometimes because it's just like, you play a game for like 2 months. And you like put it down for some reason, either another game or you get busy with something,
you don't want to be where you.
And all of a sudden, like 6 months goes by, and it's like, oh right, I never finished that game, or like, I didn't finish the DLC or something. And then you get back into
start over, and you just don't know where you are.
Well, it's like I try not to start over because a lot of the games I play, you're like leveled up, and you don't want to go through all that stuff again.
Yeah.
So it's like you try to pick it up again, and you eventually kind of get back into it. And then, sometimes it works, or sometimes it's like it just doesn't feel like the same as like the first time you played it. So it's like, all right, I guess I'm done with this. But I don't know, those games, Borderlands, like right back into it. Yeah. And Final Fantasy 7. I mean, again, beat it multiple times, and I'm gonna beat it again. So so basically just played Plague Knight, and that's about it. So.
I actually can't think of any particular instance where I actually have gone back to a game without restarting.
Oh, really?
Like, usually it's a year or two, or like in like a few months, like Valkyria Chronicle. I was just like, okay, I'll play this, and then like I don't know where I am, I don't know where I'm going with my leveling and stuff. I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna restart and work my way up from the beginning again, because then I know exactly what I am doing.
Yeah.
And like I have different mindsets back when I'm doing certain things, so I don't know. It gets confusing.
I sometimes take notes.
Yeah. I should, and it would help me get back into games.
Yeah. There's something to be said about starting with a fresh perspective, especially like different mindset. I like that idea where I have a different mindset now than I did before when I was playing this. So it makes sense to start again.
Or you can maybe appreciate certain parts of the game because you know what kind of comes after them at that point.
Yeah, that's neat.
But I haven't been doing too much. I'm thinking of upgrading like a bunch of stuff. So I was like looking at microphone reviews and things. So you guys might hear a new microphone sometime soon.
Fancy.
And just thinking of like getting back into swing with editing and things like that. And thinking of upgrading to a PS4 every week.
Do it.
We can play Bloodborne together.
You know what? I saw this. I saw a trailer for NHL 16, and I'm like,
oh my god!
That is why.
Of all the games that are going to make Garry buy
Bloodborne,
PS4,
but fucking NHL.
NHL 16.
I have good memories of playing with friends. With that.
Yes, Garry is the sporting fan out of us, so...
I am, but I'm not at the same time.
Well, you really like hockey. You really like hockey. Maybe
I didn't used to. I really was like, oh man, I hate hockey.
I used to love hockey when I was a kid, oddly enough. I was all into it. And when the Jets left, I fucking just threw my hands up. I'm like, fuck sports forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting
origin. I used to love hockey.
Wow.
I never went back.
Now we know
broke your heart.
Yeah, it broke my heart.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was more along the lines of, like, when I was young, my dad would be like, oh, they're from Winnipeg. They're right beside us. And I'd be like, I don't fucking care. They're taking up my Simpsons viewing time, you know?
That's great. Fuck those guys.
So, like, I just couldn't see the puck, and didn't understand why they were doing certain things. Like, I just didn't have a team play aspect to my, I didn't have that when growing up, I was just like, what the fuck? Why are they doing these things? Why would you just take it and shoot?
Yeah.
Every time. And I'm like, okay, now I'm seeing like all the dynamic things that like especially strategies and stuff. It's very fascinating to me.
As a gamer, you kind of pull it apart and look at its different parts and everything, and you can kind of respect it for that and everything.
Definitely.
So. And it's not that I don't enjoy hockey. I have been to hockey games. Like I will play hockey games from time to time and stuff like that. But it's just not one of those things I go out of my way to do now. Like, because
Well,
we have a channel where we can watch the Jets all the time, but it's like it costs extra money, and it's like, oh well, that's 3 hours out of my night that I could have been spending, out with my friends or playing this other game or something, and it's I don't know, it's not top priority, I would say.
The thing is, I used to really hate realistic sports games, so I really do miss the arcadey ones, like those.
That's
ones.
the thing is, I still want all those games to come back. I want to play, like, because back in the day, like PS1, PS2, I played, like my favorite games that I would consider sports were Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh yeah.
1080 snowboarding, SSX Tricky, NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, and 3D. What is it?
Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey on 64. And it was like, those were my sports games. That's what I considered sports. Oh, and then like way back on Genesis, Sega had
95 NHL.
No, like not real sports games.
Oh, okay.
Mutant Hockey League.
Yeah.
And then Base Wars on Nintendo. Fucking robots beating the shit out of each other in baseball. Like,
I can't believe you forgot to mention Snowboard Kids and Snowboard Kids 2. No, I'm kidding.
There's a reason why I didn't mention
nobody likes those games except for me. They're super good.
But
it's horrible, but I like
I don't know. Those types of games were always the ones that were like, hey, this is where you learn the base rules and stuff. Like Mario Golf. That's where I learned golf. Like Hot Shots and Mario Golf.
Hot Shots Golf is another one.
That is where I learned all the golf rules and all the golf stuff.
Yeah.
Because as cartoony as it is still one of the best golf sims you can buy.
Yeah.
And like, you learn all that stuff, and then you come to appreciate it more in a realistic one.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. Cool. So for me, between the time I saw you guys and now, I beat 2 bosses in Bloodborne that were wrecking my shit. Both of them were wrecking my shit. I was like, fuck this shit. I was just like, I got home. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take out those bosses, and then I just did. I was like, oh, that was surprising.
You just fucking stormed on.
That's what you do. You just do it.
Just do it. Just like Shia LaBeouf, who's
and then
in jail
flex
again.
after.
No, just do it. No. So actually, it was satisfying because one of them was been wrecking my shit for a while, so I killed that one. The other one I actually hadn't seen, but the area was wrecking my shit, so I was like, fuck it. I just went through the area. There's certain. I'm not gonna actually spoil this for you guys because I don't want to tell you about what I did, but there was something that was wrecking my shit a lot, and then I realized it wasn't worth it to keep doing something, so I decided to do something different, and it made it a lot easier. Yeah. I was like, okay, that I didn't, you know what, like I was getting no benefit from doing one thing, so I changed it, and then was able to get through a certain area. So I was like, okay, that's fair, that makes sense. So that was kind of nice. And then I've been watching some shows. Started watching Leftover season 2. That show's just depressing and misery and like weird, and it's like not even. It's like unpleasant.
I don't even
weird.
know what that is.
I'm not gonna. I won't describe it because it might take a while. But basically, it's like in a world where something similar to the Rapture took place. Like I don't know. It's like 1/3 of the population.
The Left Behind video game.
But no, not quite. Not quite. It's. What's interesting about the show is like they're not trying to figure out what the fuck happened so much as how to deal with it, and the show's just misery and also is like uncomfortable weird a lot of the time, and so for some fucked up reason I enjoy that. So it's like unpleasant a lot. So and then Fargo started as well, and Fargo season 2 started. One of my favorite shows from last year was the season 1 of the Fargo TV show. Seriously, guys, watch that TV show. If you love the movie, watch it. If you didn't see the movie, watch the movie and then watch that show. Like it's.
Well, go for it, Gary. That's all you, man. I did not like Fargo at all. So,
really?
No.
Wow.
All right. Well,
I don't hear that a lot.
I might as well just,
Dan.
I might as well just black book myself right here, right now. I do not like the Coen brothers. So.
You son of a bitch. That's fair. Like I can understand.
They have a writing style that I have decrypted out of watching 6 of their movies now, and I realized I don't like them. So
no, that's totally fair. I mean, if you don't like that style, you don't like that style.
And I clearly gave them a chance.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, no, that's totally fair. I really like it though. Jeez, they say that a lot.
Teach your own. So it's all good.
For sure. Yeah. And then, just went back and watched some random episodes of Dragon Ball Z after watching that movie.
I watched the movie, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so you watched the movie, okay.
Yeah.
Vegeta got shafted.
Every time.
Every fucking time.
Goku's an ass.
Great. Oh, Goku's a big dick. But, like, seriously, great fighting in the movie. Awesome background music. It was great to see
It looks great, too.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
It's really nice to see an updated version of the animation and stuff like that.
For sure.
Awesome.
What I liked, too, is when all the guys were fighting, One thing that I always hated about Dragon Ball Z, because I grew up watching Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball, everybody had a really different fighting style.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, their fighting styles all just kind of melded into one style.
Well, shoot lasers and
yeah.
warp around.
It was
Warp
the most
around
powerful.
it. Yeah, and then pull out random attacks out of your ass. And like almost every attack has like a name or something like that. I looked it up. Even Gohan's weird yellow Kamehameha is apparently the electric Kamehameha. I'm like, what the fuck? Where? Why? It's official. Anyway, bullshit. But what was cool is that during those fights, when it showed each character fighting, it kind of got to see their fighting style, and it looked a little bit different. It reminded me of Dragon Ball, oddly enough.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, that's awesome.
When they were fighting the big crowds
Yeah.
and just, like, taking out randos.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Am I remembering this right? Because it's been a couple months since I've seen the movie, but do I recall right that Master Roshi actually flexed and ripped his shirt off?
Oh, he always used to do that.
Well,
Yeah, I know, that's why I liked it, because it was just...
He actually only used that form about twice. Even when he was Jackie Chun, he didn't do that.
Really?
Yes.
I feel like I remember seeing that a lot.
He actually only... I thought the same thing.
He was
but
watching the same episodes again.
No, honestly,
Well,
Gary...
he did it to take out the mountain.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did it take... That was the first time he did it. And I think he did it another time, too. But he actually didn't do it that often.
Huh.
I'm surprised, too. Like, I actually thought that was the case, but I looked into it because I'm a crazy person.
Okay.
Anyway.
On that note.
But anyway, I don't know. I just didn't want to say that it's awesome to see that style kind of go up and down and change. It was nice to go back and watch all that shit. So, yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, so that's the update. So, what do you guys think? What is Game of the Year? And it better not be Call of Duty. Because they have one of those every year, and it's not Game of the Year. So,
jeez.
But anyways, yeah, to each their own on that. So, yeah, what do you think should be Game of the Year? I mean, there's obviously what I would call even a slew of games still left to release this year. There's some really big ones. Halo 5 is another one that's looming for a lot of fans out there, too. So
we haven't hit the Christmas season.
yeah, exactly. We haven't hit that secondary. It's like second dinner. It's waiting for some of the other big ones to come out. So yeah, there's some of those to be played. But I mean, so far, what do you think? Like, what are some of your favorite games of the year? Some of the ones we haven't played. I mean, the ones that we didn't mention. I mean, there's literally thousands of them. So I'm sure that there's some that you guys really enjoy that either we've overlooked or that maybe we should give a second chance. That we kind of we looked at them and said, it's not for me.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I have on my list that I didn't mention that was overlooked by a lot of people that you need to go download right now is Duck Game.
Oh, yes, Duck Game.
Yeah, Duck Game is definitely one of the top there. But yeah, we'd love to hear what you guys think about that and what you think of our lists. And yeah, so I guess until next podcast, don't forget to
like,
comment,
and subscribe.
KeyToCast out.